Hey, how's it going everyone? It's Vesper and it's time for another guide. Today we're going to discuss Perfect Parry. You know, Drive Rush has taken the front row seat when it comes to the Street Fighter 6 meta right now, but I think Perfect Parry is the mechanic for the future. And I think a lot of players are going to be using it a year from now. So I'd like to share all my knowledge on Perfect Parry. I'm going to explain how to use it, when to use it, what to do when you land it, and so on, to give you guys a head start and give you guys some ideas on your own gameplay. But before I start throwing a million examples at you guys, let's first just go over the quick and nasty details of the Perfect Parry mechanic first. The obvious stuff, just to make sure everybody knows. So to do a Perfect Parry, you have to press parry the moment you're being attacked. And it's a 2-frame window. That's not lenient at all. Your timing has to be dead on. So the first tip I can give you guys is that you can hold block while you go for a Perfect Parry. So if you screw up, at least you're still blocking. So in this example, I'm going to get Jerry to do her heavy kick on me. Now I'm blocking with Ryu. I'm going to attempt to go for a Perfect Parry. Now you saw my parry light up there. What that means is that my timing was too fast. I hit parry too soon, and therefore I just got the normal parry. So if you see, when you're practicing this yourself, when you see the parry, it means that your timing was too fast. You need to slow it down a little bit more. So let's try again. Now you saw that time I pressed it and Ryu blocked. What that means is that my parry timing was too slow. The attack already hit me and then my parry didn't come out, but at least I was still blocking. So if you see that situation happen, it means you got to speed it up. And then boom, finally I get it. And then the screen zooms in and it slows down and you're pretty much guaranteed any kind of punish you want, especially if it's from a heavy attack. From a light attack, most of the time you can punish with a majority of your attacks, but some stuff, some really slow stuff is not going to work. But for the most part, you get a free punish. Now, another piece of advice I can give you guys is that you cannot buffer the Perfect Parry. So Capcom wants you guys to deliberately get it. So what I mean by that is, let's just get Jury to knock me down. And when she knocks me down, she's going to hit me with a medium punch. She's going to hit me right as I'm getting up. So if I hold down parry, just hold it down, technically I should get the Perfect Parry because I'm parrying the second I get up and she's hitting me the second I get up. And it's within the first 2 frames, but the game will still not reward you with a Perfect Parry. So I have to deliberately press the button. So keep that in mind. So I'll hold down parry just to show you guys. I get a normal parry, and then this time I'm just going to deliberately press it, and you can see I get the Perfect Parry. However, when you do attempt to go for a Perfect Parry, you can hold down the buttons. So if you mistime it, at least you continue to parry as well. And you'll see a lot of matches when you use parry, you will get the occasional accidental Perfect Parry. It actually happens quite often during a match. Now the last piece of advice before we get started is the damage scaling. So when you land a Perfect Parry in Street Fighter 6, you get a debuff, and the following combo that you punish with is going to start at 50%. So it means even if you do a really long combo, it's going to barely do any damage. So like, look at the top of the screen here, and I see the first hit starts at 50%. So if you choose to do a long fancy combo and use a lot of resources, it's going to seem like it's not worth it. Something like this. Look at all the resources. Look at the damage. It's like nothing. Alright, so now with all the quick details out of the way, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the guide. So you're probably thinking right now, well, Perfect Parry is not that rewarding, you don't get too much damage, you can't land big combos, so what's the point? So the first thing we're going to talk about is what should you actually do when you land a Perfect Parry. I'm going to give you guys a whole bunch of ideas. Remember guys, damage isn't the only thing that matters in Street Fighter. The game's a lot more complicated than that. There are other things to consider when you land a clean hit, such as corner carry, positioning, advantage after you knock down your opponent, and meter management. So the first tip I can give you guys is still using your supers, because when you use your supers, you drain the opponent's drive gauge and yours fills up during the cinematic. This is especially important when you use a level 3 super, because the damage scaling has a cap limit. So the level 3s are still going to do a lot, and the CAs. And you see I drained half of Chun-Li's bar, and I gained a lot of drive meter myself during it. Next is corner carry. Corner carry is probably one of the most important things you can do, because the corner is so dangerous in Street Fighter 6. So pushing them closer to the corner leads a higher chance to victory. Even if you have to use just a little bit of meter, I still think it's worth it to push your opponent right into the corner. Next is side switching. This is especially useful if you're close to the corner yourself. A lot of characters have ways to switch sides, but a simple back throw is good enough. Another good idea is comboing into drive impact. This is not going to stun them, but if they're close to burnout, you can drain the remainder of their bar. So something like that. I'll show another easy example with Jamie. Another great idea is to plan ahead. Get the knockdown and put the opponent in a situation where you get a follow-up attack, right? So you get Oki. Showing another example. Finally, if the character you use has a stock system, just getting the stock is worth it alone. Don't forget your opponent's in a punish counter state too, so put that into account when you're practicing ideas. Okay, let's move on now. I've given you guys a bunch of examples on what to do when you land a perfect parry. Now let's talk about what should you actually be perfect parrying. And there's a lot of examples here, so let's go through them. So the first thing I recommend you should start looking for is those pesky light attack block strings. You know, whenever someone walks up to you and goes light, 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 those can be pretty easy to time if you practice it because it's always the same timing. I think down the road, we're going to see this a lot in pro matches. Another really good beginner tip I can give you guys is looking out for jump-ins. Now, normally, of course, every character has an anti-air, but there's going to be some moments where you know you're not going to be fast enough, or the opponent's going to cross you up and hit you an angle that maybe your character's not good at stopping. That's where perfect parry is a good universal mechanic that every character can use. And it's really convenient when you have the opponent in the corner and they're trying to jump out and you can throw them back in. Another example of a scramble situation. I'll throw Ryu and he'll jump and try to attack me. And I barely have time, so I can use perfect parry to save myself and throw him back in. Another really good use for perfect parry is against safe jump setups. So normally, when someone does a safe jump setup on you, you can't do a wake up reversal. They'll just block it and you'll get blown up for it. But perfect parry, since you can use it on the first frame, if you time it correctly, you can actually stop a safe jump setup and then side switch. I'll show another example I'm sure you guys have seen a million times. Marisa blocks an uppercut. I mean, it's game over. I'm dead. But if you know you're forced to block and you see it coming, you can go for a perfect parry. Next example is obvious block strings or obvious pressure strings you guys have seen a million times already. For example, with Jury, what do you think she's going to do when she drive rushes at you? Most Jury players are always going to go medium, medium, crouching, medium punch over and over again when they're trying to open you up. Pop quiz. When a Gao player does a crouching medium kick on you, what do you think they're going to do next? Another crouching medium kick, of course. Now, when a Ken player walks up to you with crouching medium kick, what do you think they're going to do? This is actually one of the first things I learned the perfect parry. It drove me crazy. All the way back from the beta. So I would suggest just going to the character selection screen and just looking at a character and say to yourself, what kind of pressure string do you see over and over again? And just practice it in training mode. Okay, this is a little bit more advanced, but using perfect parry to stop melee attacks. This is especially useful when you're going up against characters that have like automated setups that you see over and over again, like Cammy. Think about what your favorite character does when they knock the opponent down, and then apply it to your opponent so you can predict when to perfect parry yourself. Another important thing to look out for with perfect parry are moves that are normally plus on block, hard to punish, or just like bully moves, abusable moves that characters like Honda or Blanca and Ken will throw at you that are difficult even with drive impact to stop. The good thing about perfect parry is that you can use it at the end of the attack when it hits you, and you don't have to react to it immediately like we do have with drive impact. So let me show some examples like Honda's OD butt slam. Another example is Blanca's annoying airball. When you block the OD version, Blanca actually gets to keep his turn on this, so you can use perfect parry if you see it coming a mile away. The awesome players love to steal their turn back after a block string, so always look out for those drills. So like we were talking about before, a really abusable move right now is Ken's Dragon Lash kick. This move comes out pretty fast, it's plus on block, it's hard to pay attention to at all times. This can be punished by drive impact, and it's really rewarding if you do. You get a lot of damage, you don't suffer as much, scaling as perfect parry does. But the benefits of using perfect parry is that I don't have to react to Dragon Lash kick right away. If I do drive impact just a little too slow, Ken will be able to drive impact me back, and then I'll get punished. So you gotta be really on the ball, but with perfect parry, you don't have to be as quick. You don't have to actually perfect parry until the move hits you. So when Ken's already in the air, you still have enough time to perfect parry it. So this can be really good because if you're not paying attention to it, you can react to it last second and still get the punish. This is also really good if the Ken player gets crafty and starts mixing in his block strings, because you're not going to pay attention to using drive impact all the time, and the perfect parry gives you more time. Another good example is against Kami players. They'll try to get that heavy spin knuckle in their block strings, and yes, you can punish it with a light punch. It's slow enough, but sometimes Kami players will mix in a heavy punch into a light spin knuckle, and then you'll get counter hit and frame trapped. But if you're trying to use perfect parry, you have more time, and even if you time it incorrectly, you'll still get a normal parry, you'll still be blocking, it's still relatively safe. But this increases the amount of time you have to react to moves like this. Another good example of when perfect parry will save you instead of drive impact is when Luke has 3 meters and he does this heavy knuckle on you. This is super tricky. So even though I perfect parry this and punish it, he can cancel this into his level 3 and I get blown up for it. If I don't have a super, then perfect parry is a good last resort to stopping this. I should also mention zoning too, because they changed this from the beta in Street Fighter 6. So when you perfect parry a projectile, it doesn't freeze the screen, but you still get a reward. You can still cancel immediately from it, and you can cancel immediately into drive rush. So this allows some unique punishes to fireballs. All you gotta do is just hold down parry and press forward when you get the perfect parry. So let me show you guys an example of this. You can also buffer option select into a button. So what I mean is when you go for the perfect parry, you can simply press, like with Jamie, I can go parry forward heavy kick or parry sweep. And if I don't get the perfect parry, then my character will stay parried like normal, like this. But if the perfect parry comes out, it's going to allow my character to cancel, right? So then I'll get the sweep. You might as well go for it just in case you get the perfect parry. So once again, after I press parry with Jamie, I'm going to press forward heavy kick right after, like this. And if I happen to get the perfect parry, then it's going to hit him. Knowing that you can drive rush immediately after a perfect parry is really good against JP players, because they're zoning you out. They love to throw projectiles after they anti-air you as well, and you can close the distance on them. Alright, let's finish up this guy with something more advanced, and that is stealing back your turn. I think in the future, this is going to happen much more often. So this is the other way around, where you are minus on block, and your opponent knows it's their turn and they're going to try to take it. and you can steal it back with Perfect Parry because Perfect Parry or parry starts up in 1 frame. So an example of this is, let's say I'm playing Cammy and I do a crouching light punch on Luke. He knows that after my crouching light punch, I'm -1, and he's gonna take his turn back with his own light punch. So we can try to steal it back with Perfect Parry. So let me show what that looks like. This isn't just with light attacks, this is also with special moves too. Like for Cammy, for example, if I do a dive kick on Luke, they're gonna definitely take their turn back because they know usually Cammy's -2, -1-ish after a dive kick. So you can gamble, if you will, and try to steal your turn back like this. Rashi's another good example. If I do light spinning mixer, I lose my turn, but I can try to steal it back. I noticed Chun-Li players started doing this a long time ago with heavy lightning legs. She's minus, but she's not punishable. And most players are gonna try to stick out a light. Whew, I think that's it for now, guys. I've showed you plenty of examples and hopefully gave you guys a ton of ideas. If you guys have some ideas yourself, please share in the comments below. I hope you guys have learned something from Perfect Parry. Like I said, I think this is the mechanic for the future, and we'll see a lot more of it real soon. So I'll be back again, guys, with some more guides for everyone. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Also, don't forget to check me out live on Twitch. Say hi to me sometime. I'm streaming almost every single day and answering questions there. And I'll keep you guys posted when we have some more Street Fighter 6 news. All right, everyone. Take care. Peace out.
Getting cold feet?